In this section, I'm going to go over the lenses that come with the system. First of all, everything comes in a waterproof, shockproof, padded Pelican case. This is so that your camera, all of your lenses, your filters, your cleaning kit can all be securely stored, locked, and put away for security purposes. It's also great to be able to have a place for everything and everything in its place. It's nice to be organized. I'm also printing out the sheet that's in your manual. It's how to pick the proper lens. And this basically goes by the subject size, each different lens, and what the best f-stop to start with is. Let me start with the famous Canon MPE 65mm lens. This is the best all-around macro micro lens ever made. Canon's the only one that has it. So what we've done here is we've added a scale onto this lens. The normal scale on the lens just gives you 1x, 2x, 3x, up to 5x. We've calibrated a scale, basically it's a sticker I made, that goes onto the lens that gives you half measurements so that you're at 1.5x, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and so on. This way you can go in between full sizes and still have an accurate measurement, because what I've done on all of these lenses is that we've photographed micro scales at the varying magnifications, brought them into Photoshop, and basically determined how many pixels equals 1 millimeter based on the camera and the lens. So all the calibration's been done. You need an accurate idea of what your mag is. So that's it. Also, all of these lenses come with a B+W German made. It's the highest quality filter you can buy to protect the lens against the rigors of a studio. You never know. There's an old saying that a dirty lens will outperform a poorly cleaned one. And it is not as simply as wiping the lens with a cloth to clean it. There's a little bit more involved than that. So to protect the lens at all cost, every lens has a clear filter that covers it. It's much easier to clean the flat filter or even replace it than it is to clean the lens. I keep my lenses covered at all times when I'm not using them, front and back. That lens, there's also something special. I've included a 58mm, that's for this lens, a circular polarizing filter. So this filter, when you put it on the lens, you can actually rotate it to change the polarization. This will help and I'll get into this later, this will help add contrast and saturation to your high macro work. The next lens we're going to get into is the Canon 100mm Pro macro lens. This is the Pro lens, and you can tell it's a Pro lens because it has this red line, the L series. This is their professional glass. This is a 100mm, so it's got a pretty long working distance. You'll get it where it's going to be set like this and this. The stabilizer is off. The autofocus is off. It's on manual focus, and it's got the full range of focus set to it. The reason the autofocus is set to off on all these lenses is because when you're stacking, if you had the autofocus enabled, as you're stacking, it would just keep refocusing. You'd have that whole number of stacks all the same shot. So you need to have your lenses all on manual. Once again, this has the B+W Pro filter on it as well. That's it for the 100mm. Each one of these compartments has a cover that's attached via the Velcro so that it can't fall out. Even if you drop the case with the lid open, provided your covers are on, your lenses can't fall out. The next all-around great lens is this Canon 35mm wide-angle lens. And what this does is it enables you to shoot very large material at a very close distance. This is great for larger material, like if you had a completely articulated skull of a mammal skull, a big one. If you had some botanical specimens that you wanted to shoot, you could shoot an entire seagull or bird. I've seen people to do that in the museum as well with this lens. You can get almost a full meter across with this. And again, this has the filter on it, and it's all the measurements have been taken. So when you set this lens at a magnification like 0.3 meters or 0.4 meters, and you go into Photoshop, you pick the scale and it's accurate. And I'll show you that too. We'll take a picture with it. We'll put a ruler on the paper and go into Photoshop and check our measurement. So this is a neat little lens. It's an f2. It's a pretty bright lens. Very easy to use. There's also, I've included a Tamron Pro 1.4x teleconverter. This is a cool little device. It increases the magnification by a factor of 1.4 to any lens you put it on, so that your 1 to 5x can go basically to 7.5x. This can give you a bump in mag. Sometimes I'm working with 100 millimeter, and I need a little bit more than 1 to 1, which is the maximum mag. But I don't really want to go out. I'm too lazy to change lenses and go to my MPE 65 to get almost 2x. That's all I need. I'll put the teleconverter on 100 millimeter and it gives me what I need. Again, there are calculations for all of the lens scales and stacking that incorporate the 1.4x as well, so you can use it. It's sort of a lazy man's tool. Again, you'll get the best possible resolution without adding this, but it's the resolution drop is so small because this is a really nice pro piece of glass. You can do some experimenting with it and see how you like it. I think it's a great tool to have. You can never have enough tools in your bag. I use this a lot. Next, we've got these Mitutoyo long distance microscope objectives. These are pretty much recognized as the gold standard in microscope objectives for this type of work. There's a 10x and there's a 5x as well. They're differentiated with the color band. The 5x is red, the 10x is yellow. Now it says on these, do not fall or drop. Performance may deteriorate. They're not kidding. These are not shock-proof lenses. So great care must be taken not to drop them on the floor. If you knock the elements out of alignment inside, you could get fuzzy pictures, you could get double images, you can get all kinds of stuff. And it's actually, these are not cheap, but it's less expensive to replace them than it is to try and repair them. So don't drop the lenses, that's all. Other than that, you're good to go. Like any other lens, you keep it clean. I keep it enclosed when I'm not using it. Okay, yeah, it's got the little plastic on the outside. This has a bronze metal base on it here. So you've got metal threads and metal threads. Don't over tighten this thing or it'll be very difficult for you to get it out. You just want it in there so that it's not going to jiggle around. And then you put your cover on. I usually back it up one notch so that the threads start easily, and then just screw it on home. Now, these are going to be used with a 200 millimeter lens. Rather than a Mitutoyo tube lens, which we used to use, we have found that a prime lens, meaning a lens that is fixed at a certain focal length. This is, again, one of Canon's professional L series lenses. This is a 200 millimeter telephoto. It is not a macro lens. And this is purposely used as a relay lens for the microscope objectives. It has an aluminum cover that's threaded onto the lens that accepts the microscope objective. You simply screw the objective onto this and it will sit just a few thousandths of an inch off this front lens element. That is what it's designed to do. Now, if you wanted to use a polarizer on your microscope objectives, a circular polarizer, which is kind of a cool thing to do, what we've got here, I've got a 72 millimeter circular polarizer. So what you would do is you would remove the aluminum adapter. You would screw on your polarizer. Then you would screw the adapter onto the polarizer. Then you would put your microscope objective onto the adapter. And when you would rotate the polarizer, you'll be polarizing through the back lens element of the microscope objective. It does an amazing job. And sometimes when you're shooting in ethanol and you want a bump in contrast and you want to kill some of that sheen, it is amazing. We'll go through that when we do some shooting in ethanol. But it's a really nice tool. This is brand new, being able to do that. So, and I've used it in a couple of applications, and I was very, very happy with the results that we got. So that's it for your lenses. You've got the 65, the 100, the 200 millimeter relay, the 35 millimeter wide angle, the 2 microscope objectives, and the 1.4 teleconverter. Your camera would sit right here in this spot in the box. Here's a cleaning kit. Here's a viewfinder cover, a battery charger, a lens strap, your manuals for your camera. Everything fits in here and can be locked up. You can close it and you can put a lock through here if you choose to. But that's it. It's a neat way to keep everything organized, and those are basically the lenses you get. I'm going to put this printout in the box for you, but it's on your manual as well. All right, that about wraps it up for the lenses.